98FM. The sound of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Weekdays from 10 a.m.
With Adrian Kennedy.
Let me read this to you, if I may. This is from a lady called Orla, and I do have more calls to take on what we've been talking about, but this is from a lady called Orla, and I want to deal with this in a second, okay? And here's what Orla says. Can you talk about psychics? On Saturday, my friends are having a psychic evening in their house. We'll all be going over for a few bottles of wine, and they've booked in a psychic to do readings for us. My best friend swears by them. I've never had a reading myself and don't know whether I should. Can they be believed? My husband says they're full of crap and not to bother getting a reading which is probably made up. What do you think? And that's from a lady called Orla, who says, as a PS, the reading is €40 per person. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. So she's going to a party in a friend's house of the weekend, has never had any one of these psychic readings. It's 40 quid a head, and she wants to know whether or not she should bother her arse getting one. Call me right now on 6797 981. I'll come back to that in a second. But we're in the middle of a conversation all to do with back to school allowance and whether or not it should be increased. One lady contacted us to say exactly that. Juanita said, just bought all my 10-year-old's books for school and his uniform cost me over 400 quid. Back to school allowance doesn't even cover this. School uniform alone and tracksuit was €200. It's a disgrace. Carol, sending 5 children back to school must be very expensive.
It costs a few bob, all right.
Have you worked out how much?
For a pair of school trousers, just one pair. Now, I know people are saying, in my day, you bought a pair of school trousers and they did it for the entirety of your education. But one of my children was 5'8" when he went to school last year, and this year he's 6'2", right? So if I buy him a replacement pair of trousers at €42, which wouldn't be entirely terrible because he's going to wear them 4 days a week for the next 30 weeks. They don't even do his size.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a 36-inch leg, and the longest leg you can get is 33.
Oh.
Right? Because the school has a particular pinstripe. So now we have school suppliers who have contracts with schools to provide uniforms that they can't even provide to fit. Now, I could go to Dunnes and buy him a pair of navy trousers for maybe €25, and that'd be the good quality stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot get him school trousers to fit him. He's going to be going to school with 3 inches short on his ankles.
Wow.
And he's only 15.
Right. So
he's a hell of a lot of growth to go.
That's what I was about to say. They haven't kept with the times that teenagers are much taller now than they ever were.
No. And he's not by no stretch is he the tallest kid in the school. There's some far taller than him, and they look totally ridiculous. Because there's conformance on socks, you have to have conformance on shoes. So I know that it's fashionable for your ankles to be on view now, but not when you're wearing white school socks, isn't it?
So in terms, do you qualify for the back to school allowance?
No, I don't.
You don't, right. Okay,
no, I don't. And the reason I don't is because my husband works and I'm in receipt of a carer's allowance. So carer's allowance is considered means.
Right.
So me having carer's allowance, I have carers allowance because my children have autism, and I had to give up work. I was in employment, and I had to give it up because I could not provide the level of care needed whilst working, and I could not afford for somebody else with the skills required to provide for it. So I had to give up work, and I was given a pittance of a carers allowance that puts us beyond a back to school allowance.
Right, okay.
So this year, I paid for my daughter's iPad. She's starting secondary school, and I paid for her iPad only yesterday. And for the iPad and the insurance and the package that you need to buy in order for them to restrict the access for whatever websites they might want to go on, was €490. Now, the Apple Pen was optional. That's a $4.99. So I opted out of that because I thought, well, I don't have another €99 for a pen.
Okay, so it's literally gone down to that you to pick and choose what you're going to spend money on.
What parts I can afford. Yes, absolutely. I also went down to the local charity shops to see was there any uniforms in good nick. When I went to school, my mother was on her own because she was a villager's wife, and every year we had brand new school bags, brand new shoes, right? Every year, without fail. My kids don't have that luxury. and my husband works 60 hours a week. Right?
And I do realise that for many people, especially when you've got 5 kids, it's very expensive. But when you're just slightly above that income threshold... I
think we're €11 over the threshold.
Really?
And it costs us we would have been getting nearly €1,000, €1,300 maybe towards the cost, but we get nothing. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't begrudge the people that get it, because, by God, they need it. What I want to happen, and what I've asked to happen year on year, is for the cost of going back to school to be reduced. I mean, your man, the Minister for Education, brought in the uniform thing. He changed it, that they would have to be generic. But the schools aren't complying, and there's no one forcing compliance, and that has to happen. Likewise, we have school book providers, the publishers. They're charging extortionate rates for the school books. And now what they're doing is, every 2 or 3 years, they're changing them. It's 3rd edition, 19th edition. And so you don't even have, years ago, you used to be able to pass the books on to the next person coming up. I have one son going into 6th year, and his books didn't do his brother, who's 2 years behind him, because they're all new editions. You know, so I'm sitting with maybe €500 worth of books that's useless, that's going to go into the recycling bin, and the new edition might be 4 pages, it's different, but the schools are insisting upon it. It's not negotiable.
That's an awful pay. €11 is the difference between you qualifying for the back-to-school allowance and not. My God, that's... And
then I saw comments on your thing where if you increase your life insurance, you can get it. I don't know how that works, because we have a big mortgage and none of our outgoings was counting. Like, I did fill in the form.
And come here, just as a by the way, I work for Dunn's. We do all different length in school trousers.
Yeah.
Says that message that's just come in. So.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, when you're paying €42, I mean, you'd expect them to be made to measure. Maybe not quite made to measure, but Jesus Christ, 36-inch leg is not that phenomenal for full-grown adult men. You know what I mean? I mean, my husband takes a 36-inch leg, and he can go in and buy jeans off the rack. He doesn't have to get them specially made or anything. You know, he's not extortionately tall. He's only 6'2".
All right, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for the call, Carol. Let me read out just 1 or 2 messages to wrap this up. I'm a mum of 4 boys, and I'd love to get the back-to-school allowance, but because we both work, we are not entitled to it. Over €2,000 to get our boys back to school. I don't understand how people can't put €10 a week away for their costs. Parents are well aware that school fees are needed every September. I bet a lot of people complaining will somehow have thousands of euro to spend on their children at Christmas. It boggles the mind, says that message. And then we did another message on WhatsApp. The money spent on a child is called investment. This is the job of a parent. Pay for their children's expenses. If you can't afford to have a child, don't have them then. People want the government to raise their child, even though the children are their own, not the government's children. Come on, says that message. And one last one just simply says, thank God for the credit union. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy. We're here until midday today. Peter, if you're listening, will you answer your phone? I've been asked to say to you. Peter? Sure that makes sense to you, Peter. Answer your phone, please. Katie is trying to call you back. Now, here's a topic that we've never discussed on this show, yet according to figures that we came across, 1/5 of you have had an experience with these people at some stage in your life. We're talking about psychics. 1/5 of people, the majority of whom, by the way, are women, which I'm always fascinated by as to why it's solely women, have visited a psychic at some stage in your life. But here's the question. Can they be trusted? Can you believe what they say? And are you wasting your time, effort and money going to see one? Well, this topic was brought to our attention by a lady called Orla, who posted this to our Facebook page last night, which, by the way, you can do the same. You can send us a private message to facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Anyway, she's going to a girls' house party on Saturday night. Have a listen to her message. Can you talk about psychics? On Saturday, my friends are having a psychic evening in their house. We'll all be going over for a few bottles of wine, and they've booked in a psychic to do readings for us. My best friend swears by them. I've never had a reading myself and don't know whether I should. Can they be believed? My husband says they're full of rubbish. Actually, she says full of crap. And not to bother getting a reading, which is probably made up. What do you think? And that's from a lady called Orla. And she says as a PS, the readings are €40 a pop. And I'd love to hear from you on this. If you've ever gone to a psychic... Now, I have had psychic readings done for me in the past, but I've never actually gone to visit a psychic. The only time I've ever had readings done for me in the past is when doing a radio show. And the psychic might do one for me before we start taking calls. It's the only time I've ever had readings done for me. And if I'm to be honest, meh. That's my answer, meh. But I do know of people who have had readings done, who swear by them, who have connected with people in the afterlife and would swear on a stack of Bibles that what they said to them, what the psychic said to them, made perfect sense, and it felt like their person from beyond the grave was talking to them. That this psychic knew stuff that this psychic shouldn't have known. Now, maybe that's their skill. Maybe that's what they're good at. But how can you know stuff about a person who's passed on if you've never met the person who's passed on? 6797 981 is our telephone number. Peter, you're very unusual.
Yeah.
And the reason you're unusual is you went to a medium recently, and the reason that's unusual is very few men do this.
Yeah.
What made you? What was the circumstances?
Basically, my partner lost a family relative there recently. She was kind of distraught and didn't know what to do. She was going around in circles, and someone suggested to her that maybe she needed to get some answers. She was caring for her godfather. And what happened was, she walked in, and she used to go up to him every day, decided this day to go up to him, didn't get an answer from the door, and said, oh, that's strange, no answer, whatever happened. She went up the next day to him to see was he all right, and walked in and found him dead on the chair.
Oh,
so apparently she was saying that she blamed herself because she didn't go in the day before, that she could have saved him or whatever. So someone suggested to her to go to a medium because the medium might be able to give her answers. And I was kind of like, no, that's ridiculous. There's no way, that's not happening. And so she had a couple of questions that she wanted to ask. One was he dead on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or whatever it was, and so she went along, and I said, I'll go along for a bit of support, and I'll go with you, but I'm not going in. So I went along anyway, and this person, she was meant to be very good. And so my father passed away 3 months before I was born.
Oh, before you were born, right? Okay.
Yeah, he was killed. He was killed in the crash, but sure, that's irrelevant. But basically, me and my brother have been having a row for years over. He left me a watch, right? And I put it into a vault in the bank. Now, recently the watch has gone missing, and there's a big hullabaloo in the whole family. Where's the watch gone? Whatever, right? So I'm sitting on the couch and we're waiting to go in, and this girl comes out and she says, how you doing? Are you whatever the 7:30 appointment or whatever? And I kind of was dubious, and I looked and went, yeah. And she said, are you coming in on your own, or are you coming in as a couple? And I kind of looked at my partner, and she said, oh, no, I'll go in on my own. And she goes, oh, right, well, that's strange, and she looked at me and said, because your dad wants to talk to the two of you on your own, together, like. And I was intrigued, and I said, really, yeah?
Right.
She said, yeah. Well, so I kind of was intrigued, and I said, right, well, I'll go along and sort of sit in the background, So I went in, and before I got a chance to close the door, she turned around to me and said, your dad wants to know where's his watch.
Okay.
And I laughed, and I said, what watch? What are you talking about? Knowing that they kind of fish for information.
Yes.
So I said, what watch are you talking about? She said, the watch that went missing. You've been arguing with your brother. And I said, no. I said, that's wrong. So she went on anyway, and she was able to explain to me that my father had said that he had left it when I was 18, that it was to be there in a certain place, and it was in the specific place that he left it. She went on to tell us that the lad who my partner went on to see, he had passed away with a stroke, and he died on the Tuesday. Now, he could hear her calling, but didn't want to answer because he didn't want to be saved. She was able to tell us that before we gave her any information or asked any questions about anything. She was able to give his name. She was able to give the circumstances in which he died in. And we didn't open our mouth. We didn't raise eyebrows. We didn't react. Then
and how do you explain that? What do you put that down to?
It's hard to explain it because...
Well, okay,
I was extremely dubious.
Yeah.
You know? I was extremely sceptical. Didn't believe a thing in it. But it's a weird kind of. Now this girl was amazing. Like I've been to. When I was younger, someone told me to go to a fortune teller, and I said no. I have no interest, and she couldn't have been more wrong if she tried. You know, like with dates, names, everything. She was.
Yes. Okay. So
you know.
Yeah. So that made you very sceptical.
Absolutely. But this girl now, she was amazing. You know, to the point where at one point, she put it was like, to explain it, it was like someone took over her body kind of thing, and she put on a voice, and the voice was so ridiculously accurate. There's no way she could have known what way the person was even able to talk. That's how accurate she was. You know, and I kind of walked out of there thinking, my God Almighty, did we specifically actually just talk to somebody from the other side? Like, that's how. And
do you think you did?
We have now discussed it. That was a year ago.
Yeah.
And we actually discussed it where we're actually thinking of going back to her a second time because some of the stuff she told us, she told us that there was 2 or 3 things going to happen to us in the period of 6 months. And all 3 of them have come true. All 3 of them have been exactly as she described them.
Wow.
So,
okay, in terms of, people that have passed,
yeah.
Did you learn anything or find out anything that you didn't know before that this person couldn't have known only for having a connection with somebody in the afterlife?
Yeah. Well, I mean, who else is going to know about my watch for the start with?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's mad.
I never told my partner. The only person who knows is my mum and my brother about my sister. My sister died when she was 3. And I never discussed that with anybody. I never told anybody. And she was able to tell me that there was a 3-year-old girl, got her name right, standing beside my dad. My dad had his arm around her now, so and said he's fine her.
Wow.
That
okay.
she was sitting behind me on the shoulder.
Okay, this lady going to the party on Saturday, should she give it a shot?
I think it'd be worth giving it a shot, but I think if she's going to see a psychic is different to a medium.
Yes, no, I know that. Yeah, a psychic.
You know,
but she does say a psychic. I'm not sure if it's a psychic or a medium. Maybe she doesn't even know the difference herself. All right, Peter, good to talk to you. 6797 981. I was saying a moment ago that it is predominantly women who go to psychics or mediums. Where am I going? Oh, yeah, no. Sorry, the name of... Peter was on a couple of minutes ago telling his story about a psychic. We've had a number of calls. Can you tell us who that psychic was that Peter went to? We rang Peter back, we asked him, and he went to a lady called Bernie Stokes. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending that you go to Bernie, but she's a well-known... woman working in that field, and you can just Google her for yourself and you will find out her phone number for those of you who have been on to us, okay? Bernie Stokes is the name of the lady that Peter went to see. Now, Mark, tell me your story. You there, Mark? Oh, we've lost Mark for some reason. You there, Mark? No? Okay, we'll get him back in a second. Christopher.
Hello.
Christopher, you think people are inviting trouble?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Why?
It's well documented. Well, I heard a Christian preacher saying one time you're only inviting, there's 2 people watching, there's God and the devil. God represents good and devil represents evil, like you know yourself. And the 2 people watching, so once you go down that road, your hands are over into the representation of evil, which is the devil.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and
So what, we shouldn't try to communicate with people in the afterlife?
Well, no, and of course, being a Catholic yourself, or a former Catholic, you're probably still a Catholic, but you know, not to have false gods against, not to have false gods in front of you, before you, like, you know, not to invite false gods, because as I say, like, there's two people watching, the God and the devil, like, you know. And
right.
the not about that. I used to read the horoscopes myself. I used to read the science stars and all that. But once I got that, I brought the whole lot. I got a chart once, and when I held that thing, I brought the whole chart straight away. It wasn't that as soon as I could, like, you know. Shortly afterwards, anyway, like, you know. I brought everything, but.
Okay. Sorry, Christopher. I'll have to just cut across you there because we'll have to provide subtitles for people to understand a word that you're saying. I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're actually after being talking about. I'm trying to tune in, but I can't. Okay. Subtitles will be provided on the podcast. Mark, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Mark?
Thanks very much.
Oh, see you. Thanks very much. How are you, Mark? We have you back again. We have you back again. Now, Mark, tell me your story, and I hope I can understand you.
I've never, ever believed in anything or thought people were nuts and crazy and just looking for something to believe in. I had sisters who always went to fortune tellers and what have you, blah, blah, who said, watch programs, and I'd not laugh at them, but I'd say, yeah, you know, just wouldn't believe it anyway. And then, anyway, my father passed away when he had Alzheimer's. He died 6 years ago.
Right.
And he died in December 6 years ago, and in January, about a week and a half after he died, I was walking in a house with another fella, and walking away. The jobs we were doing at the time, we'd be in probably 10 to 12 different houses every day. Okay. This person couldn't have known me from Adam, anything about me, nothing whatsoever. I knew nothing about her, nothing whatsoever. And I was walking away in one room, and the other guy was walking away in another room. And you know when you get the feeling that someone just walks in, it was pretty quiet, and I looked up and thinking the woman at the house was looking at me. She was looking at me, but through me, if you know what I mean. And I looked at her, I just said, and she says, there's a lovely big man. My father is a very big man, tall and big. There's a lovely big man standing behind you, she said, with his hand on his heart. They were exact words. My father died of a stroke and that, you know. And I said, she should see the shock in my face. And she said, she continued to go on and tell me things that she just couldn't possibly know. You have to remember, he's less than a couple of weeks dead at this stage, you know. And she then continued she was going through stories that it was my mother's birthday within a couple of days, that you have to tell your mother your father said to enjoy her birthday, that he's waiting on her. Now, how she could have known these things, and he walked on the docks for years. She said, oh, he's a lovely man, he wants me to go on a walk around the docks with him, he wants me to and she said he'd love to bring me for a drink around the docks. So my father never drank. She said he'd love me to have a drink, but he showed me where he walked. Blah, blah, blah. Umpteen things, she said to me, and I said, she blew me away, like, wasn't scared, a bit of a fright she gave me, you know, with jump, because it was like she was talking to the dead, as Johnny Ray can explain it, right? And I said, I don't even smoke. I said to the fellow who was sitting there, give us a cigarette out here for a minute. I went outside for having a smoke, and she came out and put her hand on my shoulder. She said, I gave you a jump. I said, you've done more than that, you know. And I said, I'll be all right anyway. I'll be back in a minute. Like, so I didn't know what the heck was that walked into. So then I'm halfway through this cigarette, and the fellow who was walking me comes running out, and he said, and he's in the same state. And she said to him, she's after me and talking to me granny. His granny heard him, and she said, your granny is here with you, lovely curly grey hair. And he said, she's talking about me nanny. My nanny always had her hair up in quarters. And she said, Michael, you better stop smoking, them cigarettes are going to kill you. Which was something she always said.
Let me ask you, do you believe now? Or do you believe in this particular person?
Do I believe her?
Yeah.
There's no way she could have known it was impossible that There's just no way.
You see, some people believe that that's their skill, that they're able to say things to you that, in theory, there should be no way they know it, but somehow they do know, and I don't know how they know it. Maybe that's the skill. Martin, finally, you can see spirits.
Yes.
Meaning?
I can see actual spirits of people that passed.
What, in your sitting room or out in the street?
Anywhere. I can see them in the house. I can see them in the pub, out walking.
Right, so if you were to walk into this studio here, you might see a spirit walking around this studio.
There'd be no guarantee on it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't call anybody to come forward. You know what I mean?
So, I remember a movie years ago, and the line in it was, "I see dead people."
Yes.
That's you.
That's me. Happened about 2 years ago.
Martin, can I get you back on the show tomorrow? Because I want to follow up on this, because unfortunately I don't have enough time, but we're getting loads and loads of calls on this. Can we continue this conversation tomorrow? Because I'm genuinely fascinated by that.
Yeah, well, if I'm around, I'll come on. There's no problem.
Fair play. Okay, Katie will ring you back straight after the show.
Right.
All right,
okay.
Good man. Thanks, Martin. That's fascinating. I see dead people. Would that not freak you out?
98FM. The sound of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Weekdays from 10 a.m.
With